So excited. I think I'm stalling because I'm so nervous and excited.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello. Knocking at my door again. Begging me to come outside. Let you back into my life. Now, usually I'd be strong enough to lock the doors and keep them shut. But not today, I'm desperate. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. OCD is worse than ever, hands are bleeding. Maybe I should take the pills down. Know what's going on with me. Some days I actually think I might be schizo. Frantic, probably not, but even writing this is making me begin to spiral. Oh God. Made a promise to myself I wouldn't let the fear back in, but then I did though. Told the world that I was sick of running, then went back to running. What a joke. Disappointing, yeah, me too. I thought I finally made a breakthrough. Guess not. It's the same song and dance, you all seen it before. Darkness holds out its hand, then we walk to the floor. Every decision made isn't mine anymore. Like a puppet with strings, I just don't have a choice. What's the truth, what's a lie? Help me God, help me Lord. Face your fears, dry your eyes. Grandma died, what's the point? Lost the keys, lost my hope, lost my will, lost my joy, lost a friend, lost my hope, lost my faith, lost my voice.
This is deep.
Standing back, watching my mansion burn to ash while I hold the gas can, asking God if He started this fire. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Make all my hopes and my dreams come to life just to lay them to rest. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Give me a false sense of peace just to show me what peace really is. Is this what you wanted? On the verge, on the edge. Is this what you wanted? Petrified, scared to death. Is this what you wanted? Praying to God, desperate. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Hanging on by a thread. Is this what you wanted? Empty heart, nothing left. Is this what you wanted? Breaking down, spiraling. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? My bed. Is this what you wanted? To ash. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? The gas. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you feeling? Started. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted?
No way. No flippin' way. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Man, that was good. So good.
Oh,
You can
there's so
tell.
much to talk about.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yo,
He's always got these videos that are like movies.
I like freaking movies, dude.
So
Oh
good.
my gosh, I got so many thoughts. You know, it's funny because as we were getting ready to, as we said we were going to do this reaction, I'm like, God, this is going to be cool. You know, we're coming at it from the psychology angle, perfect for the channel. Two people passionate about therapy. And you know what? I might have to put this in the beginning, but my brain, I didn't even introduce or welcome you. I am so
That's okay.
sorry. I was so obsessed with getting ready to watch an F. And because we've spoken before, I was like, familiar face. But there are so many people who don't even know you. I'm so sorry, Clint. Y'all,
It's
we have
great.
a super special guest. I was so excited about an F, and I feel so comfortable just doing these reactions with Clint that my brain was like, let's start listening. Everyone, welcome to the channel, Mr. Clint Davis, LPC,
What's up, guys?
CSAT. Just, I mean, expert in the field. Tell us a second, for a quick second, before we dive into what just happened, who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to be on here. Same thing. I didn't even think about introducing anything. I'm a therapist in Shreveport, Louisiana. I've done, an author, TED Talk speaker, been doing psychology for about 16 years. I have a practice with about 25 therapists that work with me and 3 different cities. And so I supervise them and also do restoration therapy for trauma and addiction and stuff like that. So, and I've loved your channel forever. And we connected almost 2 years ago
Yeah,
now
yeah,
and talked about some NF and some psychology. And
yeah.
so thanks for having me on. And this is exciting.
I'm so glad you're here. As I was watching this, I was thinking, you know, it's cool because I feel comfortable even enough just allowing myself to be vulnerable and watch this. But then I thought it's perfect because we're both, licensed therapist, me trying to work there and have worked as a therapist, both of us passionate about psychology. And so I thought this is perfect. We can explore this together. And at the same time, I found comfort thinking, well, if I do have a breakdown, I have a therapist right
That's right.
here. I can like walk me through. So it's this beautiful nuance between maybe, we can both look at this, therapeutically. And also I have like a safety net. So maybe that needs to be the title of the video. It's like, I don't know if I can handle this. So I have me a therapist with me to watch this.
Hey, these NF videos are tough, man. They definitely trigger a lot in us.
Oh my gosh, so much. Let's talk a bit. I want to hear your thoughts. I know there's so much. Let me find a good frame. I mean, honestly, even the end is so poignant. NF in his black attire that we know from his previous work, taking the keys, dude, the keys from Nate in the from NF in the white. A lot of symbolism here, but what's your first impression? What's the first thing you are feeling?
Man, the word he used in the very beginning, desperate,
Mm.
like that was kind of the thing that is different. He's saying, I don't want to let you in again. But yet I'm so desperate that I'm letting the darkness back in. And I think a lot of people, when they're desperate, they go to things that are comfortable, but they're not good for them. And for him, darkness is comfortable, the black is comfortable. Um, and staying in this space of health and healing, that's uncomfortable.
Ooh, that was very powerful, Clint. I noticed the word desperate, but I did not consider that. Because you're right, when people say I'm so desperate, the question would be, well, if you're desperate, why let in the thing that's making it worse? But
Hmm.
you said it exactly right. In that desperation comes the vulnerability, and that vulnerability leads to us going to what's familiar. And the
Hmm.
darkness is what he knows. You're right.
Yeah, we call it the shadow self, right? It's not our who we are. It's a coping mechanism that we've learned to deal with our pain.
Yeah.
And yet here he is going, man, I know this doesn't work. He's standing on the hill on the last album saying,
Yeah.
I'll never give up, and they're
Yeah.
arguing back and forth and hope. And now he's right back, like getting, the Spider-Man tendrils,
Yes.
the Venom looking kind of things
Yeah.
that are still hanging on to him and controlling him.
Yeah. I found it so powerful, the honesty here, because he's
Hmm.
taken us on this journey from the start with all the demons that he's battled and even parts of his healing, right? Where he is, taken steps to forgive his mother, where he's looked to hope, where he has an honest conversation about his struggle with being happy, right? Because as you say, he's more used to the darkness, but he's still trying, right? There's parts of redemption all throughout his story. And I could see people, I wonder if people are responding to this twofold. Some people that are going, yep, I get it, me too. And then those who are like, nah, man, you were supposed to have it figured out and lead us, into the promised land, out of all these mental health issues. And now you're back? Crap. Like, you're not supposed to be relapsing.
No, I don't see, I see that being real. One of his slogans is real. And the reality is he's in a church and there's pews and he's back to kind of these roots of his faith. And the other thing I noticed that he hasn't said on an album, I don't believe, is he uses not just God, but Lord. That's Jesus Christ in the Christian faith. And a lot of people believe in God. A lot of people use God, but rarely do they call Christ Lord. And so he kind of says that in this album, which he's back in this church. And so it's the shadows coming for him in the church, and he's fighting for his faith.
I found it powerful that he was catapulted from this home that is so run down and messy, the mansion, right, symbolic for his mind and his mental health, but also a literal mansion that he's trying to make his home, but it's in a lot of disarray. It's not pretty, it's not organized, it looks almost abandoned, if you will, which may play into him abandoning himself, not caring for himself, and leading to that desperation. And he's now catapulted to the church where, the main part of the video takes place, and eventually catapulted back into that bare and depressing mansion. And I wonder if that's also symbolic for that cycle where we find ourselves back where we were previously. Just as, his shadow self, or the black clothed Nate, is taking the keys from the guy in the white. It's again this cyclical, this pattern. And I'm right with you. I appreciate the honesty. I personally prefer this honest conversation because this reflects how it's been in my life. It was not all just uphill, maybe, a little bit of a drop, and now we're back to sailing. It's this constant, it's cyclical. Life is cyclical.
100%. Yeah. And if we're all honest, we all slip back into, what maybe somebody would call sin or struggle or difficulty or coping. We have different words for it. But the idea that you get to a place where you never struggle again, you never go back to these things, is just not true.
Yes. Agreed.
If we're honest, the healthier we get and the more we see ourselves rightly, the more we can be honest with those we love about our struggles.
Yes.
When we hide them all, it's this self-fulfilling cycle that he's back in of like, man, I got to keep this all to myself and not share it. If you notice, he's all alone.
Ooh, very well noted. Yes.
Where's his wife and his kid? Where are they at in this situation? Where's his community? And he says, like, I've lost these things over time. And that sense of loss is probably some of the pain he feels that's bringing him back to the darkness.
What's wild to me is how that darkness is coming for him in that church, in a place where you would hope to be safe and where you would hope there's peace. And it's now taking over him, where his hands are tied, right? It's this standoffish body posture, but it's more like when your hands are tied, when it's locked in, you're not safe, you're not open and vulnerable. And that black tar, these black tears are coming out of him. It's from the inside out. He's being consumed.
That's right.
It's not just something that's attacking him externally. He's bleeding these black tears.
Yeah, those are, in Catholic Church, that's stigmata, right? Like the tears of Mary that they say bleed from her eyes. He's playing on a lot of
religious symbolism.
Church religious symbolism in Christianity, which he's always alluded to.
Yes.
But he's being pretty strong with it in this video, which is
very
pretty
strong
crazy.
with it.
Yeah.
I also appreciate that or it was interesting. I appreciate, and I found it interesting when he spoke of, the peace, and he speaks about this peace I'm going to paraphrase in my own words, but I took it as this temporary peace that was not really the real deal. Is that what you took that from me so I could have real peace? And it was a play. It felt to me, it could be taken two ways, maybe a double entendre here, but I felt like it could be a play on these phrases we often hear, even in church settings. The obstacles and tests you're going through are only tests. This peace that was temporary, or this happiness that was temporary, is going to be replaced by the real deal. These concepts were often fed of anything that we thought was good but was ripped away from us wasn't the real thing. The real thing is still coming. Yeah. So I wonder if that's addressing that nuance that we sometimes hear, or is this him genuinely asking that question, saying, hey, is it possible you're trying to give me something more real than the fleeting peace I had felt?
Yeah, I mean that speaks to that's perfect. I mean that speaks to material possession, which is the mansion.
Okay.
It's this thing
Okay.
of like hope. Is my hope found in my stuff, in my mansion, in perfect peace?
Okay.
In this life, like no, it's we're gonna have trials, we're gonna have struggles. What the word that I think he would replace is maybe comfort.
Okay.
He's saying, I thought I wanted to be comfortable. I want all this pain I've been through. Man, I'm looking for comfort. But then I got a mansion, a real mansion,
Yeah.
and it didn't bring me any comfort.
Yeah.
I'm looking for real peace.
Yeah.
And from a Christian theology, suffering, dealing with difficulty points us towards Christ, which is our ultimate, he's called the Prince of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
So your identity is in Jesus, then you have a peace that surpasses all understanding, and even in the midst of struggle. So there's just a lot of real, like deep
Yeah. Yeah.
theology that he's talking that he's not
Yeah.
specifically saying,
Yeah.
but that his
Exactly.
lyrics make me think of.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that he poses it as a question, not as an, oh look, the temporary piece was replaced by the real thing I was supposed to learn. We're here, we've made it. No, it's very heavy and it's very dark. It struck a chord with me because even the washing of hands to me had double symbolism. It
Hmm.
made me think of another Christian element, right? With Pontius Pilate, I believe, washing his
Yep.
hands before allowing the crucifixion of Jesus. But it also made me think of OCD because he
Yep.
spoke of compulsion and he was washing his hands. And that part touched me deeply because I have,
Whew.
struggled with those, with compulsion before and obsessive
Same.
thoughts. And also, I have a dear friend who has experienced a lot of healing in regards to that. It was diagnosed with OCD, has experienced a lot of healing, but every now and then we'll still struggle and we'll fall back into those deeper holes. And I felt so much of that resonated because, like you said, it was this honest dialogue about, I thought, I was healed now, we were good, but I'm back in this place. And he's back to washing his hands and he's back to just being consumed by the compulsion, by this obsession. And he was addressing different mental health issues that I feel like different people can apply to themselves, and I appreciated that so much. I heard a lot of the OCD theme, but I feel like it's
Hmm.
applicable to depression, it's applicable to people with anxiety. Like, anyone speaks of schizophrenia, right? Am I schizophrenic?
Yeah.
It was just vast array of human struggles.
That's great. Yeah, I think what he's trying to point at is that those are all just symptoms of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
In our society, we try to treat symptoms instead of getting to the root. We just want to take
Yes.
a pill. He says that at the beginning, should I take some more pills? Like,
Yes.
what's going to fix this problem? But the problem is within ourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That we don't love ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves because of what other human beings have said and done.
Yeah.
And then he says, man, I'm holding this gas can, looking at God, thinking, are you doing this? Did you do this? Have you just given me all these things
Yes.
to burn it down? So he burned the house down. He's got the can, and yet he's blaming God.
Yeah.
And so it's this like double entendre of
Yeah.
we have the choice to
Yeah.
make good, empowered decisions, and yet we make bad ones. But then when we make bad choices, we want to blame God as if he did it.
That's valid.
And,
That's
and
valid.
yet he is the one actually redeeming the thing to give us something better than just comfort, but real actual peace.
Yeah. I found it. I so loved the honest question back that he kept asking and that kept tagging. Is this what you wanted? And
Right.
speaking of losing his faith, like, man, that was so relatable. That was very relatable. Going through those dark valleys, and asking questions or experiencing doubt and a change in faith like never before, leading to
Yeah.
identity crisis. Like, I've experienced that. I'm still going through it, searching things and questioning things and my faith changing. And so I love the honesty here because I feel like that's not something people talk about enough. Like, you got those who completely put it aside. This is not for me. I'm not religious, or somewhere in some religion. You got those who are like fully in it and they'll want to have a spiritual answer for everything. How often do you find someone with this type of platform magnitude saying, God, where are you? Right? Looking for something bigger, but also being honest and saying, I have lost my faith and I'm
Hmm.
struggling, not painting a pretty picture.
That's right. The Bible doesn't paint a pretty picture,
Yeah, not a truth. They're crazy up in there.
That's right. Everybody but Jesus
Mm-hmm.
struggles with their faith and doesn't believe and goes back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful. I loved it, man. It was so good.
I mean, honestly, I would even say even Jesus was struggling a bit because in the Garden of Gethsemane, he did ask if you could pass this cup, please please no. And then he, accepted it and said, your will. But I think
That's
even
right.
he was like, do we really have to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point that people feel shame for being human. And the
Yes.
reality is Jesus in the garden, he wants to avoid that trauma and that terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of avoiding it, he goes through it because he trusts that God loves him.
Mm-hmm.
And so avoiding pain isn't sinful. It isn't
Mm-hmm.
like you're not evil for avoiding it.
Yeah.
But if you don't push through the pain and do the right thing, then that's on you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jesus, he pushes through that fear and that anxiety and the temptation
Yeah.
to fold. And because he knew God loved him and was a good father, he trusted his plan, even though it was going to be suffering.
Mm-hmm. I
I
think,
hope
yeah.
that for NF.
I think that relationship to suffering, that's a key phrase. I think you really said something interesting there because the suffering is relatable across humanity and we all have a different way of dealing with it. And I like NF's honesty here with having this honest conversation about it. But it does make you wonder, like, what is our relationship to suffering? Because none of us really want it. We
Hmm.
all try to escape it in different ways. Some of us, we try to push through until we can't no more. Others, we're in denial of it. Here, it might be blaming God or going, is this what you wanted, right? I'm hurting. Why can't you fix this? So many different ways of looking at it. And so much symbolism. I mean, like I said, him putting the bag over his head, the banging against the door, him being in the church pews. I'm just trying to skip through just to,
Yeah,
let
catching on
these
fire.
let these catching on fire, right, where he was teasing to the mansion being on fire. It's now him. And side note, like, not even just to look at it from a psychological or philosophical sense, amazing videography. Amazing how his brand just rings true, how he just keeps
Hmm.
having that red thread. His voice was beautiful in this. Absolute beautiful mix between his vocals, his cadence flow, per usual. I mean, just I appreciate so much that he doesn't just have lyrics that are deep, but he really has skill. I mean, some of the
Yeah.
way that he was breaking apart the syllables of some of these words and just riding the rhythm and breaking apart this literary art, I appreciated that so much.
Oh,
It's
yeah. He can break
enjoyable.
down a beat.
Yes, yes, his beats are, and the whole tracks are amazing. Speaking of locking the doors, right? See all these webs, these spider webs on this door. It's just decay, abandoned decay. And it makes me wonder, just like you said, whereas his wife, whereas his kids, whereas his community, it makes me wonder what is happening in the mansion, in his mind, that allows this to happen. Because in order for spider webs to become to the magnitude that this is, or dust, it takes a while, right? Dust and spider
Hmm.
webs don't appear like that. So maybe was there also a lack of maintenance and care that was happening that got us to a place of desperation? What do you
Yeah.
think psychologically could have happened that we're back here? That doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No, I think there's parts of our brains. So we can either, like in Mansion, the original song, he's like going from room to room, and there, he's living in it. So there's no spider webs when you live in a house because you knock them down, they move around. They're
Yep.
not. It's not stagnant. But then he moved out and hasn't revisited, but he hasn't tended to it. And there's another verse that says you can if there's spiritual warfare, if there's demons and inside of you, if you clean them out but you don't clean the house, then seven times more can come back and revisit you. And as that's partly psychological as well. If we just change behaviors and manage the symptoms and we don't
Mm,
treat the root,
yeah.
then we're just going to change it to something else. So somebody might get sober and not drink anymore and not be an alcoholic,
Yeah.
but they're going to CrossFit for 3 hours every night and leaving their kids and their wife,
Yeah.
right? One looks much better to society. It looks cleaner, but the
Yep.
reality is the internal is still problematic.
Yep. I was just talking to a friend about that, where I was like, just because, a person is abstinent from the substance of their choice in the past doesn't mean that they're not dealing with other addictions now, right? You got people that have moved away from the drugs and are not doing other things in an addictive way because of that underlying issue. Well said. When you say, and I know he even said that it's in his song that he had moved out, he had left. What does that look like psychologically? Because obviously we can't really get out of our head literally. But if the mansion is this symbolism for our mind, the room's part of our brain, our self, what do you
Mhm.
think that looks like when you have a person who struggles mentally, who moves out of the mansion, is trying to find healing? If the mansion is still our mind,
Yeah.
how would you interpret that psychologically?
Well, it's still that's a very OCD type focus is that you get stuck in your head, right? You
Yeah.
ruminate on thoughts and on feelings. And I recently got to go to the Chick-fil-A retreat center in Rome, Georgia, where we worked on anxiety and OCD with a treatment called Stop, Turn, Slow. And it's literally figuring out where the trap is.
Yeah.
What's the lie that you tell yourself? I don't know what NF's specific lie is, but it's something about being bad, not being good, not being worthy of love,
Yes.
not being able to accept happiness because
Yeah.
something's wrong with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all of us. We all struggle with feeling loved and safe. Those are
Yeah.
the two primary core issues that we all have. And if you don't find out where that narrative came from,
Yeah.
was it your dad's voice? Was it your mom's voice? Was it a choice you made that hurt someone?
Or all of
That's the
the above.
trap. Yeah, all of it. But that trap is telling you that your actions and behaviors or what you've been through is your identity and your sense of security.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it's not. We're worthy of love and worthy of security because of our humanity, because God made us
Yeah.
in his image. And so what we have to do is say, hey, I have to stop ruminating on that. I have to ruminate on what is true.
Yeah.
What do I see in my life that tells me I am worthy, I am loved, I am, safe? And
Yeah.
that's why I pointed to community. When you
Yeah.
look at your family and your friends,
Yeah.
when I look at our relationship and I go, man, there's
Yeah.
somebody who's like-minded, who likes these
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes me feel known and seen and a part
Yes.
of community and connection. Well,
Yes.
then we ruminate on those things.
Yes. Yeah.
We meditate on the things in our life that are positive and good, and we replace the rumination of anxiety and fear. And over time, we literally can create new neural pathways. We can change the gray matter of our brain to where, yes, we struggle like in F here, and the darkness comes back in, and sometimes we participate in it.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, we're doing well and we're staying healthy and we're not
Yeah.
ruminating on those things.
Yeah. So well said, Clint. That fear is taken over again. It feels like that's what this song is concluding with, right? There's so many more elements. Obviously, I feel like there's so many details, everything intentional, which is another reason why I appreciate his art so much. So much intentionality, is that the word?
Yeah.
But the song being titled Fear, I feel like clearly shows
good.
us that fear came back for him. Where in some of his other songs, like in Intro 3, he was trying to bury it,
Yep.
was going to keep anger around, but fear had to go to the point. But even in Intro 3, he would say things like, I know you're gonna come back, but I'm not gonna have a room for you anymore. And now we see fear here banging at the door, coming in, his shadow self, like you said. And it ends kind of depressing in my book, right? It ends with he's knocked out. He's back where he started in that mansion. That's cyclical, right? When you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you can't escape. And it's fear that is now taking the keys. And that's powerful because in several of other NF songs, there was imagery of him being in a cage, right? The mansion being referenced in the music videos, him in the cage, those black balloons. And now we're seeing...
I thought I was holding the keys.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes. And now fear going psych and grabs the keys out of his pocket. And I feel like that was well done too, because it feels so violating. He's passed out and someone is stealing something. Having something stolen from you feels so violating. I had a car stolen from me one time. I was pregnant for the first time, and I was in a crazy situation. It was all a mess, and I felt far away from home and ashamed, and it was all just upside down. And more trauma was to come that little did I know. But my car got stolen. The very first car I ever owned, a Honda 96. And I get up to go to work and it was gone. And I had a lot of my possessions, journals and everything. Thank God most of it was restored to me. Because they found the car, and I didn't really even care about the clothing and whatnot. The taser was gone. That was the only thing they took. But my journals from when I was like 13 years old, multiple of them, I got back. And that was my most prized possession out of it all. But I felt so violated. Or another time, not that, anyone asked for all these personal stories, but another time I believe that I was drugged. I was at a concert. I was enjoying a little glass of wine, but I was not anywhere, going crazy with that. And I got very, very sick. And I just remember, thank God for a friend who was close by. I don't know what would have happened if she wouldn't have protected me and looked out for me. But I just remember talking to my sister a day or two after, being very emotional and upset, still very tired. I probably should have gone to the hospital. It was really bad. And she pointed out to me how that stuff will will affect us because it's a violation. It's someone putting
Yeah.
something against your will into your system. Again, I wasn't out there partying hard, getting drunk. I've done that too, so I could fully own those nights.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hold
It
on. Let me stop you there
Yeah.
because I think this is a really important thing because you're
Okay.
doing what people do.
Yeah.
If even if you would have gotten really drunk,
Yeah.
no one has a right to take advantage of you or do anything
Yeah.
to you. Even if a woman is dressed a certain way or walking a certain way, right? No one has a right to do something without your consent. And
Absolutely
so
right.
so that's that shame that this is exactly
Yes.
what's happening in the video, right? We
Yes.
we blame ourselves for some trauma that someone else did to us
Yes.
because we made bad choices.
Yes.
Well, those bad choices have their own consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Getting drunk, you get headaches, you don't feel good,
Yup.
you don't take care of yourself, but you don't also deserve someone else to abuse you or take advantage of you in that situation.
It's so
Does that make
true.
sense? So it
It
helps us
does.
to go, hey, maybe I shouldn't walk down dark alleys, or maybe I
Yes.
shouldn't walk around with cash in my pocket. But that's a different conversation than did you deserve something like that happening to you without your consent?
I
And this
really
is something, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 no. Go ahead. Finish your sentence. What you're saying
Oh,
is
I was just
good.
going to say this is super important. Like, I wrote a book called Building Better Bridges, and it's
Yes.
teaching our kids about consent. A
Yeah.
lot of us weren't taught these things when we grew up.
Yeah.
And so we have these narrative and these messages about things that have happened to us that we continue to heap shame on ourselves when someone should have guided us and helped us to see,
Yeah.
okay, there were some better choices you could have made, and maybe
Yes.
you're responsible for these things, but you're not responsible for these things.
Yeah. I really appreciate you saying that, Clint, and reminding me because you're right. I have that tendency to be like, well, but let me clarify. I appreciate you saying that, and I'm also very grateful because for our viewers, because I think that drives a lot of people. Yes, you're right, and it felt violating. It felt like, thank God, nothing did happen that could have happened because I was in the presence of a friend who was with me
Hmm.
for the rest of the evening and made sure I got home. But it was these kinds of things. I say all these things as examples of situations where someone takes something personal from you or does something to you against your will, and that's what I feel fear is doing here. He is
Hmm.
on the ground, paralyzed, right? One of his songs is called Paralyzed. He almost looks paralyzed on the floor, and fear is reaching into his pocket. There is no, hey, by the way, I'm going to take your keys, or, there's no heads up, there's nothing. There's just
There's not a
taking it.
fight.
No fight. No fight. And that to me feels so violating. And I think that too is such a good depiction of what fear does to us.
Hmm.
It violates, it steals, it kills,
Yeah.
it consumes, and it just takes from you. And the worst part is that it's ourself. This is Nate taking it from himself, right? This is not an external robber.
Hmm.
This is himself against himself, which I think
Hmm.
is powerful too, because that's one of the things, and we'll talk about that when I'm on your podcast, but that's one of the things jujitsu has taught me, right? You're your own opponent. And that's been
Yeah.
such a powerful concept that I'm still trying to, in any regard of my life, trying to wrap my head around. The only person I am dealing with is me. And that's
Yeah.
liberating, but it's also like, dang, you know what I mean? The danger is not out here.
Yeah, it's really important for people to be able to hold two truths at the same time.
Yes.
One is let's say I'll use a familial relationship, my relationship with my father, let's say. There were lots of terrible things that happened in that relationship as I grew up that I experienced as really, really awful and terrible that I had a right to feel that were awful and terrible. But I also realized as I've grown that I participated in some of those things. I was young, I was naive, I was disrespectful.
Hmm.
So it wasn't all or nothing. So freedom, right, from fear comes when you can forgive. And
Mm.
forgiveness doesn't mean allowing damage to happen in the future, but it means like I see them differently. I see them, they made choices, I made choices. It's not all or nothing. And I think when we get in this space where it's all or nothing, black or white, the more pain we're in,
Yeah.
the more polarized we get in our relationships.
Yes.
People become others.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the more we see people as polarized, the more destructive entitlement we get.
Yes.
So destructive entitlement is when we hurt ourselves other people to get the things we think we deserve.
Yeah.
And so fear, right? What are we afraid of? We're afraid of not getting the things we think we deserve. And at the same time, we treat ourselves like we don't deserve love and safety.
That's profound. That is very profound. Entitled self-destruction. Because I'm entitled, I think I deserve this, but because I don't understand that I'm loved, I'm not giving myself or allowing myself what I deserve. That's
Mhm.
like that catch 22.
Yep. So how do we change that? Well, when we're afraid, instead of giving in, instead of freaking out, we take personal responsibility, right? We have faith that says, man, I am loved and I am safe and I can make good choices.
Yeah.
And then we have people in our lives who also tell us that about ourselves and encourage us.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're not afraid at times.
Yeah.
It just means that we act differently out of that fear.
Yeah. You know, it makes me wonder if things would be so much different if he didn't fight fear. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Because in a lot of his songs, like even in intro 3, there is this angry discourse. It's a back and forth. He keeps arguing with himself. And in the latest Avengers movie, The Thunderbolts, I thought it was so powerful that as the main character, spoiler alerts, if you haven't seen that movie, people, then pause here. Have you seen the movie? Because I don't want to ruin it for you.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. And I won't give too much away, but the character at one point starts fighting himself, his shadow side. And at first I thought, yes, just, don't give up, fight, fight for yourself. And then the crazy thing is that darkness, that shadow self started consuming him. And his friend, one of the other Avengers, picked up on that and ran. She was tied up by all the powerful damage he had done to her. Because he had pinned all these other people to the wall with his superpowers. He was stronger than them all. And together, again, relationship, community, they found a way to break her free so she could run and she could help this guy. And she realized that what was happening was that as he's beating his shadow self, it's starting to take over him. He was turning all dark and shadow. And so she runs. I'm going to start crying again. I cried when I saw it. And she runs and she jumps on his back and she just embraces him. She says, I got you. I got you. And the others free themselves from all their shackles together, and they jump in too, and all as a group are hugging him saying, we got you, stop, stop, stop. And it was almost like that. To me, the powerful message was the answer wasn't fighting that shadow self, but embracing it and accepting himself. And understanding that it's not yin or yang, it's yin and yang. It's both and. It's like with Ren, what Ren said here in his High Ren. It's this dance. Now, that does not mean, okay, I'm just going to accept my sinfulness and act on it, but that means that there's grace in my humanity, that there's beauty in my humanity, that it's okay. And it's
good.
and I feel like maybe that's what the answer would be here. For him not to be so busy fighting that. What would happen if the NF in white embraced the NF in the black tracksuit? What would happen if he held him and didn't fight him and didn't say, we're going to fight over who has the keys? Maybe it's okay that fear has a place. Fear can be a beneficial tool, right?
That's right. I call it the bunny or the bear.
Okay.
So if you're in the woods and there's a bear and
Yeah.
you're not afraid, what's going to happen?
Well, depending on the type of bear, you're probably going to get killed.
Yeah, you're going to get eaten, right? If you see a bear and you're not afraid, you might go try to pet it. It mauls you.
Right. It's stupid. Yeah.
But if you're in the if you're in the woods and there's a bunny and you take off running and leave your kids and your family, now we've got a psychological faith problem
Yeah.
because you're afraid of something that's not dangerous.
Yes.
So the question that an F has to figure out is what he's afraid of actually dangerous?
Ooh, that's good. Oh, that's good. That is so good, Clint. Yes.
Whether that's a relationship, whether that's men, whether that's stepping out and speaking, whether it's doing a podcast, if we're terrified of something, but we don't actually know what we're afraid of, and if the thing is either even worthy of fear, then we're just fighting with it or running from it or attacking it. And those are all negative coping that's just dealing with our pain in a really bad way.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. You're saying some good stuff, brother. This is awesome. This is so good. All of this is just so good.
Well, hey, thank God for NF and what the Lord's doing through his life and that he can bring these things into a very secular culture. I mean, I love that he is able to do this and that we can have this conversation and see the undertones of theology and psychology. And I mean, he's obviously been in therapy. I say that all the time. Like he's obviously doing his work and meet with a pastor and like having these conversations.
I appreciate the honesty here. Are you ready to dive into the next one?
Sure.